Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. My name is Kurt Robinson.
And my name's Aaron Battle.
So today we're talking about sharing economies like Uber and relay rides, get around, Lyft, sidecar, different ways you can share your car or share other people's car or share your tools that you have in the shed. Maybe you will share your home studio or your gym.
Or your bed. Airbnb, sharing accommodation. It's also quite popular. There's many different types of these new sharing economies to create value and, extract value from objects that might be sitting around your house.
Yeah, so using things that were previously unused and now you can put them to use when you're not using them. And that means you free up some people's time. I mean, it will free up some people from having to purchase something when they only need to use it for a few hours. Maybe they only use it for a few hours every few months, like something like a lawnmower. So in that case, you don't have to worry so much about putting an outlay of several $100s for something you only use occasionally.
So it's about changing your mindset and changing maybe the way you want to interact in your community with your objects. For example, being a vegetarian may have different meaning with different principles. When it comes to grazing, for example.
You mean like a cow, or I don't know what that is.
I only recently found out what grazing meant. To be a grazing human
means a lot of things to a lot of people.
So you better watch.
Yeah. So you can get people to do things for you over the internet, or to come around and bake cakes for you. All sorts of little services. When people have a little spare time, they can start to share that time with their community, and maybe it's paid and maybe it isn't. And that's a new form of economic activity. And it's very interesting. So it's going to have a lot of effects worldwide. We'd start to see things drop in price because it's easier to get them, get a decent quality, perhaps from your neighbors, perhaps a skilled amateur, rather than paying it for a professional who you don't really want to pay for.
It might change the way and how you want to pay for things. So, issues with money, it's like you begin to see this as a form of communication, not as a store of wealth. Or maybe storing your wealth maybe in different objects, so you're not so bound by this system of control. Yep.
And you're not so tied up with your possessions. Like maybe you move to a new community, but you're going to just borrow a lot of things, and so you're not you don't have to use a lot of space either. So maybe you can move into a smaller home. And these are all kinds of things that we explore in this episode. So we hope you like it. Press like on YouTube and press subscribe on YouTube. Press like on Facebook and press hover over the like button on Facebook and press the get notifications button so you can hear every piece of crazy bullshit that comes out our mouths. Also press subscribe on iTunes, press subscribe on Pocket Casts. And we really love it when you do that magical thing that makes us get down on our knees and pray when you go to donate.theparadiseparadox.com and give us some money by Bitcoins or by altcoins or by PayPal. We really appreciate that because we know that when we do that, when you do that, it shows us a token of your appreciation. It shows us that you really care about what we're doing, or you've found some interesting ideas in there. So we like you so much when you do that. We like you anyway, but we especially like you when you do that. And also another way you can help out the show, if you're going to buy something from Amazon, so maybe you're going to buy some electronics or some video cameras, or maybe some interesting books from Amazon, what you can do at no inconvenience or cost to you, except for the 2 seconds that it will take to go to theparadiseparadox.com and click on Shop Amazon up the top, so you can go onto Amazon. It's not going to cost you anything extra, but it does mean that we receive a small commission from every purchase that you make. So if you're going to spend $1 million on Amazon, make sure you do that so we get a cut. And thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for listening. We're going to get right into it. Sharing economies.
Sharing is caring.
Yes. Sharing Care Bear economies.
Well, to share, there has to be some kind of awareness in the whys.
Does it? I don't think there does have to be that. I don't really know what you mean.
Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about the sharing economies that recently seem to become some kind of trend. To be more social aware of the overall costs of your business or your activities. So I'm saying sharing is caring, kind of a laugh, because you start to consider things that normally you may not consider if profit is what you're looking at.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think there's two angles of that, because if you do share things, it can be better for the environment, or it can use less resources, but it can also be in your benefit, because it means you can save money. Like, you don't have to buy something if you can rent it, borrow it from a neighbor or something like that. And that means that we need less resources to create things, and that means there's more resources available to do cool things.
Like more money.
Yeah, it means there's more money available too. Yeah. So recently there's been quite a few articles popping up saying that when automated cars come in, then maybe people will forego the cost of having a car completely. Maybe it will just be a luxury, and regular people will just say, why do I need a car when I can get a car from Uber for a couple of dollars to take me where I need to go. It arrives quickly, and there's no standing costs.
And I don't need to worry getting a park.
Yeah,
I can get off at the front door, and it's just comfortable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so Uber is already helping in that regard. Among other ride-sharing programs, because it means you can get a taxi ride that's like half the cost, and it means people are making money in their spare time as well. In some cases, people have a day job, but they also have time which they can commit to something else, and so they can do this job on the side, and they don't need to go through the stress of being employed, or they can set their own hours and things like this. So the thing about it is, it is about resources. So in an economy, if you have unused resources, that means they're wasted resources. So the resources can be time, or they can be money. They can be physical things like a lawnmower. They can be, it could be food, I guess, as well. That's a possibility too. And when I was living in Melbourne, it was quite a big movement. They call it freeganism, which I don't really like the name. So it's kind of, I find it kind of, what's
lame?
The word? Yeah, lame, I guess. That's kind of twee. And what these people do, some of them will, some of them are actually vegans, and or normally they're vegans, and they won't eat things that are from animal products. But if something is going to be thrown away anyway, then they might eat it. So if they go dumpster diving and they find some cold cuts that are well packaged and obviously just approaching their use by date, or it might be on the day of the use by date, they'll say, "Yep, I'll use that."
Yeah, it's an interesting point. You know, we draw a line. I mean, I've been trying for a little bit to cut back on meat, and it's like you really begin to question why. You know, is it because you don't want to support the industry anymore? Is it because you're worried about maybe the animals aren't treated very well, or is it because you're worried about your stomach bacteria and the way it might start controlling your mind? And then,
okay, is there some kind of brain controlling parasite in beef that I'm not aware of?
I'm sure there's many. That's another episode. Well, I mean, that's not the reason why I don't eat meat. I mean, I'm sure my stomach acids conquer those bugs. But you know, sometimes I do wonder, like, you know, these chickens looked after well, and is this the industry I want to support? But I mean, do I sometimes cheat and eat a little bit of chicken if it's there anyway? It's like, you know, maybe I didn't vote for it exactly, but. I mean, this whole sharing economy thing, it's like, I think it's really about voting with your dollar. And if someone finds something no cost, it's like, well, am I going to waste it? Or am I going to throw down these cuts?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And why not use it if it's there? And that's the mentality of these freegans. They're like, yeah, I'm just going to use this. Or my friend used to call it grazing. That's kind of a bizarre name as well. But I remember one day I arrived at his place. We had to go around to the back door. For some reason, he didn't have a key to the front door. And I figured out, and actually I knew beforehand it was actually a squat. And his housemate was like, hey man, how's it going? And he's about to make himself some lunch, and he pulls out this huge garbage bag full of sandwiches, and he says, yeah man, are you hungry? My mum works at a bakery. I'm like, your mum doesn't work at a fucking bakery, man. I know where that food comes from. But I wonder how these people, like, there must be a whole bunch of rules and ways to navigate the pitfalls, because I have to think, like, if you work in a bakery and you're shoving all this stuff into a garbage bag, sometimes you might sweep the floor and just dump a bunch of dirt on top of the sandwiches, and that's what these people are going to be eating, like tiny pieces from broken glass or something. Like, it's not like the bakery's there to keep the thing clean.
Well, I mean, the poor guy in the end of his shift that's cleaning the bakery, that's probably the last thought in his mind. Someone's going to go through the bin and take these, you know, day-old bread rolls. Who's going to eat that? I don't think it's his fault. People. Yeah, I'm sure.
Of course it's not his fault. Yeah.
He's not conscious of the fact that this food's still got value. He's just like, well, you know, I don't care. I'm going home. End of the day.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they do that, actually. And it was interesting. I remember I was in a mall or in a food court with my friend again, and he's walking around and he's looking for an opportunity to graze. But this time he's looking for people who've left their plate behind. And so he can just walk up and go, hey, have you finished this? Or just take their plate and start eating it, munching away. Or that day, what he actually did was just pushing the boundaries, really. Someone called out at the cafe, like, hey, order for Roberts, and my buddy was like, yep, that's me. Picked up the sandwich and walked away.
Call me Robbie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But is that still grazing, or is that just Robbie?
Well, he called it grazing. Like, like to these people, they had a mentality like, oh, they would graze anything that was left behind. Like, basically was there, in some cases, it was a code word for stealing. Like, if somebody left their jacket behind in a club, to be like, yep. Somebody walk away from their beer for a second, yep. And they were completely shameless about it too. It seems
a little bit weird. I mean, to think about. I mean, from my point of view, to think about that. But then, you know, I can think of many examples, and it's not that, you know, it hasn't really been that far away.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason I brought this up, like with the squatting, I don't find an objection to the squatting. If they're taking care of the property, it seems a bit strange to me though, because I do believe strongly in private property, but I also believe in, well, if it's there and nobody's using it, it makes sense that you could use it. And if the owner doesn't evict you, he doesn't even ask you to leave, well, what's the problem?
Depends if the owner knows if you're there or not.
Yeah. Well, that's partly I think that's the responsibility of an owner to investigate that. But yeah, I guess it's a kind of contradiction within my own mind. But the thing is, they're using these resources that aren't used. They're putting them to use. I mean, not when they're stealing, that's a different case. But when they're dumpster diving or something like that, they're making use. I mean, it means this stuff doesn't go to the landfill. That saves resources, and yeah, they're getting a free feed out of it. So in my mind, there's nothing wrong with that. And this is the kind of I think the sharing economy is kind of an evolution of this kind of behavior. So things like I think couch surfing must have been up for like 10 years now. This website, couchsurfing.org. Have you ever used that?
Never used it.
No, me neither. But, it started out, people just have this sense of community online. They're like welcoming to people. They say, I have a spare couch. If you're in Melbourne or wherever, you can sleep on my couch. And it took several years for someone to actually think, hang on, there's a business idea here, and start Airbnb and similar sites. So, you got a spare couch or a spare room, and someone could sleep in there for $10 or $20 a night. And it means they gain because they don't have to go to a hotel. It could be very expensive. And they even get use of the facilities like a kitchen or whatever. And it means you gain as well because you're renting out your unused space to this person. So there's resources that you have which would have lain dormant instead are going into the hands of somebody who's going to make good use of them, and you get compensated. So everybody wins except the hotels who had the oligopoly, and now they're kind of dwindling in numbers.
Well, they offer a slightly different, impersonal service. Which I'm sure some people, that's still very popular for many people, but the idea of having someone, a place to go to, I mean, the economic, financial side of it's great, but even just meeting new people, it's like, you've got the same type of people that are looking to take people in, that are also looking to expand their friend list.
Yes.
So yes. I like the win-win. It's cool. And I'm not sure why I haven't used it. Because, I mean, I know many people...
Oh, you haven't used Airbnb either?
Well, I mean, I looked. When I was traveling through Europe, I was looking, but the time frame that people got back to me just didn't... I mean, I'm always very last minute. So, I mean, nothing panned out that way. But, I mean, I have couch surfed, just not through those, like through friends of friends and,
Yep.
Things like that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, when I was looking at accommodation for Acapulco, I was looking on Airbnb, and it was like a few good places came up, but they weren't available. And there was one place, it was like a campsite, and you rent a tent for $10 a night. I think it had Wi-Fi too.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Got to stay connected.
Luxury, yeah. Yeah. Cool, yeah. So... Then there's a whole bunch of other things. Of course, Uber is getting really popular these days. And then you mentioned that other one, BlaBlaCar.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, it was sent to me by a friend that lives in Toluca. And I only had a quick look at the website. But essentially, the idea is that you can post your trip. Say that if I was traveling from here to another city here in Mexico, and I'm leaving this day around this time, then I post how many seats are available, and anyone that's also can look up, I want to go from here to here, and they can see, oh, there's Aaron, and he's leaving, roughly the same time I'm going. Maybe I can get a cheap ride. and then I post, how much every seat will cost, if I want to split the fuel, or I can put it on for free. I mean, whatever you want. And, they might save themselves, instead of catching a bus, it might cost them, $50. I might give them a lift for $10 or for $5 or, whatever.
Yeah.
But so it's a platform where people can put trips that are available, that are happening, and, seats that are available. And then you can also search that same site for, between these different cities to see, what availability are there. I'm not sure if it's very popular, but it's in 14 countries. So, it'd be interesting to see where it started. Because, hey, if you're going to get a ride, you may as well make some friends and get a cheap trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at least you know people. I mean, if you're traveling, if you're backpacking, then that's exactly what you want.
Yes.
Because then, chances are you're going to run into people that are traveling the same cities you are, and they're pretty similar mindset to want to look for those kind of trips, and you might even find a crew to go check out some of the sites with.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a social thing as well, I guess. It's helping people connect. Yeah.
Well, this is what the technology is all about. I mean, social media and the information technology platforms are allowing you to communicate with people fast. So, you don't really need to have much planning to meet people and to look at some of these websites. I mean, I'm sure you can book. I mean, it's like real time, you know what I mean? So you can just turn up and say what's going on, whether it is you're looking for accommodation or whether you're looking for a trip or a ride. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, I wish this was more available, 5-10 years ago when I was traveling.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, I'm a little bit heavier now. So, so I'm not all up and let's cruise and check out, that side of the country. But, I mean, who knows? I might be able to convince Joanna of taking a few trips.
Yeah, well, I'm going to check out this BlaBlaCar, man. I'm thinking of taking a trip to Durango in a couple of months, and then maybe up to Tijuana for a special little trip across the border. And
you going to take a bulletproof vest?
Is it really that bad in Tijuana?
Well, if you haven't got a bulletproof vest and a helmet, you need a camera and a notebook.
Well, I always need a camera and notebook.
Oh, well then you're set. All sorted.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, so Uber is coming in and changing things. And I saw this video this morning. This taxi driver who inherited his taxi medallion, I think it was in Chicago. So at the time, the taxi medallion was probably worth $250,000. And now he's kind of pissed. He's like, look, I understand this new company's coming in and they're doing their thing. I only want it to be regulated so it's nice and fair and even. And I'm like, yeah, right, nice and fair and even. I mean, how is it nice and fair and even when these taxi companies had oligopolies over the taxi business for 50 years? How is that fair and even? So you could just jack up the prices, and everybody has to charge the same. How is that fair and even? Tell me that.
Well, we're talking about two different generations of people, different mindsets completely. Because I mean, I think people that are about this new idea of companies can come in and new products and knocking down these regulations. There's no more centralized services like this company that here it's the same thing. It's all over the world. Yeah, it's like what happened in Austin where they tried suing Uber or they tried shutting them down, or I mean the same deal.
What happened?
Well, it's like it's the same. Taxi companies don't want other kind of share cars or even they're pretty even against carpooling as well. That just seems so logical. It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't.
Yeah, well, there's companies
like
Relay, not Relay Rides, that's a bad example. Companies like Lyft and Sidecar, they're a little less like Uber, they're more like carpooling, but you have the opportunity to give the driver a tip.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, and BlaBlaCar again, it's more like carpooling. And yeah, I imagine that taxi companies will be against us as well.
What about all the corporate bus companies? They all get together at the round table and they look at each other and go, what are we going to do? The people are working out they can move together. It's like, they don't need us anymore.
Yeah, well, hopefully they get competitive. I mean, it's already all right here in Mexico, because if you take a bus, you have a screen with a computer in it, or like you can watch movies on it just like you would on an international flight. If that's for a premium bus company, but for the shitty bus companies, well, why do you need them? Because they're charging too much and you don't get anything special for it. You may as well go in a car with some new friends. Yeah.
I guess the big advantage to this type of service, people offering other people rides, is that they can all put up information, or they can work out some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? This is silly. Where you can like give someone 3 stars or 5 stars.
A rating system.
A rating system. This is like revolutionary.
It is. It is. It's true. It's
like
a rating system, because you can't do that in a taxi.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can't. They get away with whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And like this guy coming in and saying, well, all our cabs are inspected and cleaned. And fuck off, they are. You're a fucking idiot. Like, what? You're a fucking idiot or a fucking liar. I don't know which it is, but you're one of them. It's not good, because your taxis aren't clean. You smell like cigarettes or whatever.
Well, it's like someone's trying to support the company, the brand, and they want to blanket everyone and say, we're top shelf, and it's like, you can't say that.
That's why we charged $20 for 3 kilometers, because we're top. Yeah, because we're top quality cabs.
Is that Australian dollars?
Well, I think that's what it. That's pretty much a going rate, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I remember I would catch a taxi from Crown Casino to my home in Fitzroy North, and it would be about close to $20. And it's not a long taxi ride. It's like probably around 10 minutes.
But I mean,
that's if they take the right route.
Yeah, that's right. But that again is not exactly all their fault. I mean, they're just people trying to run a business inside a over-regulated country and industry. Yeah, it's like, and then insurances and everything else that gets put on top. It's like the business becomes very heavy financially.
Yeah, that's true. But the reason those regulations exist is because the taxi companies want them. So these people that are driving the taxis are the beneficiaries of this regulation. The regulation enforces the oligopoly. And they make more money because of it, because no other company can come in and start a taxi company, because it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a taxi license in Melbourne. And
but these barriers to entry are going to maintain a top quality service, correct?
Yeah, right. It's that's the narrative. That's a popular narrative, and it kind of confuses me how much people believe that. Well, I guess I used to as well.
Well, we're told to.
Yeah. It's complete nonsense. That, but everybody thinks the government's there to protect you and make everything good for you. But no, it's not. It's there to protect special interests most of the time. It has nothing to do with you. It's there to protect their revenue stream.
So maybe if we had... Maybe we have some kind of artificial intelligence or robot body that took over government. Do you think they'll look after people the same way if they didn't have personal interest?
Oh, okay. This is really an interesting tangent. You're talking about something like the Venus Project, where it's like a central processing unit for the society, where it decides what tasks need to be done and assigns them to people, and then it also regulates the temperature in the greenhouses in the community, and controls the transport system and things like that.
It seems like that kind of system would be able to maintain some kind of equal level of government without having these subjective or personal different opinions or, interests involved. But then, with that example, you clearly show that there's no freedom left at the end of the day.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I remember I listened to one interview. We're getting way off topic. But
they love this stuff.
I listened to an interview. This guy he claimed to be involved in the Philadelphia experiment. And this experiment when they were trying to make the ship invisible to radar, like a battleship. And what he claimed happened was he was transported hundreds of years into the future. And the society he described was actually, it aligned quite well with the Venus project. Like he was describing this kind of floating city, and the computer kind of knew everything, and there was terminals all over the city, and you could ask the computer questions. But some things it would just tell him like, nope, sorry, you're not allowed to know that. Nobody really had to work, he said, because the machines did pretty much everything. But then he said there was this it's like another world, but actually all it was out of these floating, these hovering cities. On the ground, people had a completely different society, and like within the city, it was more or less implied that this was a lawless land where outlaws ruled the place, or warlords or something like that. That I wonder I wonder if there's any truth to what the hell he was talking about. But I also wonder if it is true, were these people who were living outside of these socialist, like techno-socialist utopias, were the people living down on the ground when they actually free and happy and productive and on a completely different level intellectually.
You make me think about the movie Demolition Man. You have people inside the nice city or the nice society, and then you have people underground. And the people underground, they're always perceived to have no money. Like, it almost feels like, they have to trade old school.
Bartering.
Which is kind of similar to this sharing economy idea, because it's like, I have something of value, you have something of value, and we're gonna shift this. Yep. And then, I guess modern examples or today examples are like everything like eBay or your Gumtrees and, this technological level that allows me to post and to communicate what I have of value and, what I'm willing to trade for it. Yep. With at the moment is some value of money. We can see that as some kind of, this is the communication system of, I don't know what you have to trade with me, but I'll take this money. A
slab of beer.
Yeah,
that's all it takes to get your house roofed. Yep.
that sounds like good value.
Yeah.
Watch us again at the Paradise Paradox. Watch us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, tweet us on Twitter, and listen to us on iTunes or Pocket Casts.
Sharing is caring. That's an old dance joke about sharing partners.
Sharing partners.
Yeah. Just because
swing dancing turns into a swingers club. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Something like that.
There's a swingers club right around the corner from here.
You're not talking dance, are you?
No.
I looked for a dance club. I couldn't find one.
Right. No, it's not. It's not about dance. It's like 100 pesos cover, and I'm kind of curious what they do on there. It didn't look very attractive from the outside.
Well, normally good places don't.
Okay. All the best places are really hidden, yeah.
But, the reason why that came out was because, we are talking about sharing economies, and dance partners spend a lot of time together and, a lot of interaction. So, sometimes we share partners dancing.
Okay.
But
all right.
To get back to business.
How much money is going into the swingers economy?
Well, I don't know.
Swing dance partner sharing economy.
Well, you'd have to go you have to stick your head in and check it out. Tell me how many people are in there, and we'll multiply that by 100 pesos.
Stick my head in. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that kind of kink.
It's just the tip. Well, business. Forbes magazine back 2013 they try to estimate the revenue flowing into the sharing economy. So nothing about swingers, but they said that in 2013 it's going to surpass 3.5 billion, and then they're expecting growth of 25%. So I'm assuming that's a following year, but considering it's still fairly early stages, and then there's really only a couple companies working in each sector, whether it's share cars or I guess finance. What else is there? Sharing economies, sharing marketplaces.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying it's early. It's early. There's really only one. There's one leader per section of sharing economies. I'm sure there's a lot more competition.
Pretty much. I mean, the car one, of course, is a big one. Like we mentioned, Uber, Lyft, Sidecar, but then there's relay rides as well, where you can put up your car. And get around. It's a similar thing where you put up your car and say, well, if someone wants to rent my car, go for it. And on the get around side, it says you can get up to $10,000 per year renting your car out. So that might be a good investment for somebody. Like if you buy, a $12,000 car and just whack it up there and make like a 90% ROI. That would be pretty sweet.
You want to check your insurances, though.
Yeah.
Because, insurance companies are sneaky.
Well, I think they provide insurance with these services. But, yeah, that would be definitely something to check out.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not recommending any of these sites in particular, but these are just a few that came up. I'm not trying to give anybody financial advice. We're all just messing with ideas, man. Ideas.
Just entertaining the mind.
Ideas, the economy of the future.
So, other than Airbnb, is there any other accommodation ones that you've come across that are good, good financial models?
No, I mean, I think there's a couple of knockoffs of Airbnb, but the one I remember I was looking at one once called Roomy or Room something or other, and it cost like 5 times as much. So it was like the premium Airbnb, I guess. But other than that, I don't think Airbnb really has many competitors other than So that's the thing. Then you have a few of them which are made for doing jobs for people or getting someone to do a job for you. So you have things like Fiverr, which is mainly for doing jobs online, and then you have TaskRabbit and Zali. So Zali is like if you want someone to mow your lawn or wash your dishes, or if you want someone to bake you a cake and you want to get a homemade cake for your birthday, you go on Zali and get someone in your neighborhood to do it for you, which is kind of cool. It's a personal touch.
I got to offer my services.
What kind of services? You're going to bake some
cookies.
Special cakes, yeah. Special brownies. Yep. And yeah, so, and of course, the financial sector, I think this is going to be huge, actually, the financial part of the sharing economy. So, of course, peer-to-peer lending is starting to come through. One of the big sites is called Lending Club. And so the idea is you go on there and you can find financing, and the investors put their money up and they divide it finally among many investors. Among many investments, among many borrowers. And so you get a small amount of money from each of these lenders, and then hopefully you get a better rate than what you could get from a bank or from a credit card. And one of these sites I've been messing around with is Bitbond, which uses Bitcoin. And so you can lend to people all over the world, and there's money crossing boundaries left and right. My experience hasn't been the greatest with Bitcoin, with Bitbond rather, which it's not a reflection on the site at all. It's just I made a couple of bad loans, I guess, and it looks like I'm not going to. I might, like, a few of the loans are going to default, and it's not going so well for me. But I still think this idea is a good idea, and I think people are going to start looking at avoiding banks looking at other ways that they can finance their projects, and this is a big way that they're going to do it.
This peer-to-peer lending, the part that fascinated me the most was it's not exactly, I'm going to let this person borrow money. It's like you give them a tiny percent, and it's like this big anonymous body of lenders are joining forces to lend you maybe 1% of the total amount that you want to borrow. So it's not like, the risk is a huge risk individually. It's maybe, the risk is on the person paying them back entirely, but it's not exactly your capital entirely that you're putting out there.
Yes.
Which I think, that's going to give the people some kind of comfort in letting people, I might let someone borrow $10. They might want to borrow 1,000, but there's another 100 people that are throwing in $10.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Lending Club says. Lending Club's claim is that 99.9% of people who invest money on their site, who distribute their portfolio among 100 borrowers, 99.9% of those investors receive a good return, or they get their money back and more. They make money on the deal. And so that's a pretty big claim. I haven't investigated that, so I don't know if that's true or not. But it seems pretty good to me. Seems like a good way to make a little money, to make a little passive income, if you've got some money laying around, maybe.
Well, that's one positive. But looking at the bigger picture, there's a lot of people that are going for these loans that have no access to banking services, and they might only want to borrow $500 to do their next season's plantation or something. They might have a farm, or they. I know my brother's a fan of Kiva. And
Kiva, tell us about Kiva.
Well, Kiva's like it's a very similar platform where it's micro loans internationally to mainly to people in third world countries that aren't gonna have access to credit or to banking or to bank accounts, and some accounts might only want $50. Which to them,
these are interest-free loans. You're giving these people money for like 6 months so they can do their thing with it and then get it back to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's essentially extended charity, because once they pay their money back, and I think the percentage is quite high, because these people are so grateful to get the money to get them out of the situation they're in that they do whatever they can to pay back. And then once you do, you don't normally pull the money out. You usually let someone else borrow it and let it keep cycling. So that's kind of a mix between a charity and this P2P.
Yeah, it's a kind of capitalist charity model. Like it's like we'll meet you halfway. We'll give you some money, but we'll expect it back too. And that means that money can, like you said, it goes on to help more and more people. So it's not like just giving someone a handout and saying, just take it, do whatever you want with it, which is not like things like foreign aid that governments give. What normally happens with foreign aid, it should be so transparent, but it takes a little bit of analysis to see it. What normally happens, like you have a government in a very corrupt country, or a very corrupt government, I should say, and what happens is, this government is absolutely terrible at running the country, and they oppress the people, and people can't get ahead. They can't be productive. And then, a big government like the Australian government will say, well, we're going to give $5 million or, $50 million to the Congolese government. Just take it. Where do you think that money goes? It goes straight into the mansion of the dictator of the Congo, or the president, or whatever.
He could have been hungry too.
That guy was starving for a mansion and a harem of 100 women. That guy was thirsty.
I saw a brief documentary on I believe it was the UN dropping food and supplies into Israel. Like, I'm not sure what's that gap called in between, like
the Gaza Strip.
The Gaza Strip for the Palestinian people, and it's like these people that they drive. I don't know, are they even getting paid? These people that drop the food in there, but they didn't care. They just drove the trucks in there and started pushing the pallets of rice and suppliers and other, suppliers, and everything just got destroyed. They're so scared of something happening that they race in there, they drop it all off, and then they take off. And it's like, you see like.
Are these UN workers, did you say?
I believe it. I believe it is. I mean, I'm not going to say 100%, but I from memory, I believe it was like UN supplies. But I mean, there was a pallet of eggs, and they just pushed it off. And it was like there was a kid scooping eggs and stuff up, and it was just like, that's not. There's gonna be a better way.
It's not kosher.
It can't be. It was like eggs kosher. I'm sure. I don't know the rules on that.
I don't know, but the Palestinians anyway. It doesn't matter if it's kosher.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, we're talking about dirt.
Yeah,
it's land. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be easier ways to drop off supplies rather than just like out the back of it. It's not a helicopter.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a waste. So yeah, you got to consider when you're donating to charities, how are they going to FedEx the rice packages or the eggs?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a thing, because when I look at charities, I mean, I've given a lot of money to charity over the years, but I haven't always investigated thoroughly which charity I'm giving it to. And I'm sure a lot of people do this as in like, hey, it's a charity, it's a good cause. But how do you know what they're actually doing with it? And a lot of people make that mistake. It's like if you're buying something for yourself, you'll be very careful with the money. But if you're spending it on charity, or if you're giving the money to charity, then sometimes you won't. It's kind of a perverse mind trick, upside down, inside out. Jedi mind trick that the charities pull on you. The charities around every corner trying to exploit you.
Well, you signed up to your $1 a day, so you get your value of warm and fuzzy. And then on the other side of the wall, it's like that's not my deal. It's like I just want to feel good about giving back. It's like, well, you're not giving anything back to where you think you're giving it back to.
Yeah. So another interesting sharing side or sharing economy concept is called FON, and this is a Wi-Fi, a system of sharing Wi-Fi. So, for example, at your home in the moment, you have a router, and what you do, go on the FON website, look it up, FON, and you'll find that they offer you a router for sale. So you can go on there, you buy a router, and instead of having one Wi-Fi signal, this router will have two Wi-Fi signals. So it has the private Wi-Fi signal, which you would use, and it has the public or semi-public Wi-Fi signal, which other FON members will use. And so this means everybody who purchases and uses one of these routers and sets it up in their home has access to this international network. No, it's not entirely international, but it has a big presence in, say, Brazil and Western Europe, and a bit of a presence in the United States as well. So this means that you don't have to worry so much about where you're going to get your Wi-Fi from anymore. Well, at least it won't in the future, because you can log on to this site. You're already a member of this international network, and everybody's sharing. You share a little bit of your signal, and people share a little bit of their signal, and it all kind of works out. And it's not the ideal, what I'm hoping for in the next 5 or 10 years is that mesh nets will become really popular, and we won't need so much a centralized internet service with internet service providers. There's a few things that need to be figured out about that, and I wonder if it doesn't become really cheap. I wonder if it doesn't become free, maybe it will become really, really cheap. And there's another site which is doing something similar, which the name of it escapes me right now. I'll put the link in the description. Yeah, so there's that one.
That seems like a good bridge. Because mesh nets, you said, maybe 5-10 years away. Before they're big enough to in-house, a good population.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, this is.
There are hobby projects all over the world. Like you can go on, look up MeshNet Melbourne and you'll find one. But it is a hobby thing. Like you can go on there and play games with people and share videos or whatever, but it's not really connected to the main internet.
That's kind of the issue. Hey, you need a main. Even with this service, you need a main connection.
Yeah.
You still need internet. But at least you can give your community internet, and you can move around and there's more internet.
Yeah.
Keep those internets going.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt. I think these mesh nets are a good thing, regardless if they ever get like fully encompassing the globe. Yeah, and then another one was Poshmark. So you actually had this idea, but I guess you didn't realize it was already implemented. Maybe someone plucked your idea out of the ether and stole it.
Well, this idea of, I was watching Joanna.
Yeah.
She gave me the idea because, I mean, to all those husbands out there that have wives or, have wives, you watch your female partner select clothes and store clothes and shoes, and it's incredible how many varieties and selections appear to be exactly the same, but are very distinctly different apparently. And I thought, why don't you just work out other chicks in your neighborhood that have the same style and shoe size and dress style, I don't know, like fashion sense. Compare sizes, make a profile, and then all of a sudden, open up each other's closets so you can start sharing clothes. It made sense because it's quite hefty on the budget as well. It's like let's go out this Friday for dinner.
Oh, I need to buy a new dress.
And matching shoes and a little belt and my bag. I don't have a bag to go out with this anymore. And it's like, well, can't you call a friend? Is that a different TV show? Apparently not.
But now you can use this Poshmark so you can make a little community, and apparently will recommend you people based on your taste of clothing, and then you can find your neighbors and say, oh, well, I love that top. Can I wear that? And you get things in your size, and that's kind of cool. So you can find a way to be fashionable on a budget.
Yeah, and the accessories, endless accessories.
Yep.
But it's a solution to a modern day problem because the bag's got to match the shoes, and the shoes needs to match the belts.
Of course, it is imperative that the shoes match the belt.
Can't be seen outside without matching.
The world cannot go on without matching shoes and belt. Okay, so then there's another one, which seems slightly more useful to me. It's called Neighbor Goods. This one's only available in a few cities in the United States at the moment. But this is kind of cool because it's saying maybe you have a small lawn and you only mow it once every 2 or 3 months. So you don't actually want to spend $300 on a lawnmower. But if your neighbor can lend you one for $5 or $10, of course it makes sense for you to do it. So you go on this website and people will advertise things they have. So maybe tools or maybe a big screen TV or like a bar fridge. If you're having a party, you need an extra fridge. And you go in here, put up what stuff you have, and then people can rent it off you for a day or a couple of days, and you'll be compensated. And that means it's a win-win situation. You get to use this thing for a short time. The person gets to put it to use even while it would have otherwise been laying dormant and unused, and they make money from it. So it all works out. Yeah,
it's like unlocking the value. A lot of families do it, but to do it with your neighbors, unless you're good neighbors, you lack that trust. And I think the technology and the social systems are going to give you those ratings that you're going to be able to trust people, and then share their gear, and then know that there's something the system that's going to govern that in a way that it allows you to access and receive. It's perfect.
Yep.
I was just thinking how exciting this new stage of life is going to be, because you it opens up the options for, well, I'm really seeing, we grew this time equals money, money's time issue, and like that's been drilled into us so well.
Yeah.
And now it's almost like a liberation from that, because now I don't need to be giving up my time to collect money to buy shit when I can just knock on the neighbors' doors and that's just a poke on Facebook now, because they told me that they got an esky there that I might need for a party that I'm going to, and I chip them a couple bucks and they let me borrow it. So it's like, why am I collecting shit? So why am I working to do that? It's like this whole Fight Club notion of the stuff you have ends up owning you, when you should just own yourself, your own time, and not worry about collecting. Plus,
that's right. Well, it can mean a whole lot less maintenance as well, because if you have such few things, then it's like, if you borrow a bike from Liquid, or you borrow a car from Relay Rides, and you don't have to worry about who's fixing it, so that saves you a whole lot of time as well. That just works out to a couple of dollars every time you buy it. You don't have to worry about taking it to the shop, and there's a whole bunch of problems that it solves. So it gives you this free time and free money to do something else with your life.
in space, because all those bikes and cars aren't going to fit in that tiny house you just built.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in your tiny house, like your 20 square meter house, you don't have enough room for 3 cars. But you can rent 3 cars at once if you want to.
I mean, it's interesting with the notion of money, because we start looking at cash flow, and I mean, when you look at the economics of having a big house and filling all this stuff, and then a bike that you might ride once a week, or that I don't know, gym equipment that you might use. I mean, you want to use it 3 times a week, but you might use it once a week, and that's if anyone that bought gym equipment, that's a doubt that you can use it once a week. But I mean, you start pulling back and you realize there's so much more money that you have to do things like travel and to explore the world, I guess, in general. I mean, and that could just be your neighborhood. Maybe you should know about all the restaurants that are in your city, or you should check out that east side, west side, and take advantage of all the different flavors, as opposed to not, because you just don't have the money for it. But I mean, if you have the cash flow, then it's like it's different. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different life.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess being able to share things it's going to change everything. It's going to be a completely different world.
Yeah. So that could absolutely be a thing. Like if your neighbor has a really good gym and you're like, oh yeah, I'll pay you $10 a day every day I come over there, and it saves you the money and the time and the space buying all this equipment. You can just use what he has, and I'm sure most neighbors will be happy with that.
He'd probably be happy to have someone train with him.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, how about you just give me a spot and you come over here whenever you want? Yes, free gym.
Yeah. It could lead to something like that. And or another example I thought of, like, what if you have you might not have a fancy home studio, but you might have some kind of studio in your home, like maybe just like 3 mics and you have a mixing desk and enough to record a couple of MCs, and they come over and they pay you like $10 an hour just to record them, or just to lend them the equipment and make sure they don't screw anything up. and I'm sure there are a lot of home studios out there which could be lent out like that. It's
really social, isn't it? Like it's a real social movement, because you said that $10 here, come over and record, or go to the gym and throw a few bucks there, borrow the mower, borrow the esky. But it's like the money's irrelevant, because you've got stuff that you're letting people borrow as well. So as long as everyone's given an equal amount, then you receive everything you want. Like there's nothing outside. Every community is going to have a recording studio or a gym or a pool, or someone's going to have something that you're going to want. And you chip them the usable token, in that society, and then that token's going to come back when you let someone borrow something you have.
Yep.
And then it's like, you know what? I don't even need money anymore.
Yeah, it could get to that extent, but I think money is still useful as that kind of tally, that placeholder.
Just to weed out the freeloaders.
Yeah, but I guess that's part of it. Yeah, but another cool thing about this is it actually makes a lot of these services invisible. Like a lot of the time with Uber, when you rent a car, the government doesn't know. And the taxi services don't know, and nobody really knows. It's all like kind of this. It's not a cash in hand transaction, but it's kind of an under the table transaction. And the regulators who are trying to crack down on these transactions, they try to call up, and Uber's like, nah, man, I don't know what you're talking about, or they close their account down for suspicious activity because they're like, this guy's a total narc. So this invisible economy, this unregulatable economy, like sort of like a black market, or you might call it a grey market, and it means that people will be more free because the idea that the nation state can control you is somewhat reliant on the notion that they can actually see what you're doing, and that's only if these transactions are like in an open market, in a place where it's openly observable. And that's not the case anymore. So nobody really knows if you're doing like some kind of illegal dinner party. This is an example I heard in a speech by Jeffrey Tucker the other day, like in New York City. All the restaurants or the regulators were getting really mad because there were these illegal dinner parties where people would go around. They'd pay a monthly subscription to these clubs, and they'd go around to different people's houses, and the chefs would come and cook for these people. It's a lot cheaper than a restaurant because you don't have to pay the rent and all the overheads and the taxes and this type of thing, all the regulatory nonsense. You just sit down with some interesting people and have a good meal. And Jeffrey Tucker mentioned that he was reading some article saying that this is it's terrible, this this illegal economy, and he's like, this isn't terrible, this is freedom, and this is great. People can connect in this invisible way, and there's nothing our ruling class can do about it. It's all starting to fall into our hands, and that does mean more responsibility. But we already have these rating systems, and that's a great tool for us to sort out the wheat from the chaff.
Someone just hung up the phone.
What do you mean?
Like they just hung up the phone, like you're not listening to us anymore. It's like that reverse styles. We just like the communication's being cut.
Yeah.
Like there's no more spying.
Yeah.
There's no more need to regulate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. The market can regulate itself. Like if there was any doubt that it could, now it's making it very obvious that it can do that. And reputation is a huge factor in a free market. Now, yeah, one other example of which is kind of related to a sharing economy, which is it's an unusual example. It's a piece of software which is called Ushahidi. And the background to this is that in 2008 there was an election in Kenya, and the incumbent president Mwai Kibaki got elected again, but one of the opposing parties, the Orange Democratic Party, started pointing fingers and said, hey, something's wrong here. This is some kind of electoral fraud. There's some kind of manipulation going on here. And this was confirmed by other independent sources as well. They investigated and found the same thing. And so there were protests, and then unfortunately the protests devolved into riots, and there were all these kinds of problems. And somehow, I don't know the full story, but somehow somebody had this piece of software or developed this piece of software on the fly. It's a kind of tracking software, or it's like a kind of data collection software. So it enables you to report events, and they're placed on a map. So anybody can log in and see where these events are happening. So if someone wants to report a riot or some incident of violence, something bad happening in the country, or something good happening like peaceful activism, or when people need help, if people need medical attention, they could report it on there. So these people could get help, or something like that. So it's an interesting thing, and this has been used. It's an open source piece of software. It's a free piece of software, and this has been used again and again. It was used in 2011 in the Christchurch earthquake to report what was going on, so people can maintain it. The thing about this is, previous to this, this type of software would have been worth thousands of dollars, and it would have been exclusive to like big news corporations to use it as an analytical tool to try to figure out where the big news was, or something like that, or try to draw conclusions between the news stories. But now it's like available to everybody, so it draws into what we were talking about a few episodes ago about journalism. This is like this decentralized form of journalism. Anybody can log in and report something, and have their message seen. And one example we looked at was map.labucketbrigade.org, and this is in Louisiana in the United States. And they put up this system because there was problems with oil spills, and now they're maintaining the system. So even if someone comes into the harbor and they're leaking, I don't know, what was that case we looked at? It was leaking gear fluid or something?
Yeah, it was like leaking some kind of motor fluid.
Yeah.
From what looked like, someone at work, like a workplace hazard report or something.
Yeah. It actually looked, from the nature of the report, it seemed like the crew of the ship was actually the one who was reporting the incident. So it's like this can be used for companies to volunteer information about things which later might become hazards. And in the future, I guess this kind of thing could be used internationally. Like, I don't see why there shouldn't be, like, you have this website like smarttraveler.gov.au, which is a government website, and they try to tell you which countries are dangerous, and generally I completely ignore what they say on there.
That's because every country is dangerous according to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Like, every country has, plots of drug cartels killing people or whatever. It's dangerous all over Russia and wherever, It's very hard to find a place that says safe on there. So generally I ignore exactly what they say. But this system would be more decentralized, so it's not like a government where they actually have some kind of vested interest in stopping you from leaving the country. It's just regular people reporting on what they see, and then you can use that yourself to determine if you want to travel to a country, or maybe it would actually help a lot of independent journalists if they want to get the true skinny on what's going on in a embattled country. They could log on there and see which countries have an interesting situation developing, and try to find out the real story.
Yeah, as for the platform, it looks like it can handle that mass, like you're talking about, like natural disasters and things of a larger scale. But I mean, the system should be used in neighborhoods.
Yeah,
it's the sort of thing where you'd want your community to say, this is something that happened in our street last week, in case, so we all know, what we're looking out for. But I mean, it doesn't have to be an incident. It could be, we're having an event, or this happened, or congratulations to, this family that did something, good, or, anything. Like real news for people, as opposed to, what building fell down, or something like that. And, or what bus route not to take.
Well, that's so important to
No, it is important, but I mean, there needs to be a balance. It can't just be just bad news all the time. Like, it doesn't have to be bad to be news.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could filter it out and say, I want to hear some good news from my neighborhood, and you find something interesting on there. So this could develop into a kind of social media as well. This was also used to plot the movements of certain Occupy protests. So that's another use for it. So it wasn't necessarily something dangerous, though I guess at points that was dangerous. But it can be used for a lot of things. Or, like a missing person report, that would be something very vital to put on there.
So sharing information.
Yeah, the sharing information economy. Yep.
Important economy to re-up it with the informations.
Yeah. So, this is really great, all this stuff, because it means people can save resources and they can pool together and use their money in new ways and use things that they wouldn't otherwise be using. And it means, all these resources come together, and it means people can use their money for more exciting things, maybe being entrepreneurs or traveling or donating to save the rainforest projects, or planting a new rainforest, or and they could use it for a lot of things.
Yeah, it's gonna empower people to do what they feel like they need to do.
Yep.
Without being weighed down with this old school system of collection.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting.
Yes, very interesting. Cool. Cool. So my name's Kurt Robinson.
And my name's Aaron Battle.
And we've been the Paradise Paradox, and we continue to be the Paradise Paradox as we're hurtling through space at hundreds of thousand kilometers per hour. Press like on YouTube, press subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a comment on YouTube or on Facebook. On our Facebook page, press the Get Notifications button, hover over the like button, and press Get Notifications so you know every crazy piece of shit that we're up to. Press subscribe on iTunes, press subscribe on Pocket Casts, and go on to donate.theparadiseparadox.com. We really love it when you give us a few dollars. Suggested donation is $1 per episode that you like. So we do absolutely appreciate that, because every time we receive a little bit of money or a big chunk of money, a big old $100 bill straight in our back pocket, we say, hey, this means somebody out there likes what we're doing. This means what we are doing is valuable to you. So that's a great message that we love to receive, and of course it also helps us with practical means as well, like trying to upgrade the quality of our podcast and everything. And also, I want you to press share, because every time you share, this shares and creates a sharing economy across the internet.
Sharing
is caring. Yeah, sharing is caring. Share with your partner. Share your partner. Share your partner at a swing club or a swingers club, or both, or
$10.
Every time you share, Aaron Battle is going to do the Charlton at a swingers club.
I probably do it for free. You don't need to share.
Great. All right. So share it on Twitter, share it on Tumblr, share it on Facebook, and share it on your bathroom wall at work, because everybody loves to see something interesting there. And have a good one.
That's true. Peace.
Peace.